All right, here's your video for Geometry SLO Review Worksheet number 7, Special Right Triangles. By special right triangles, we mean the 30, 60, 90 and the 45, 45, 90 triangles. Now, if you take a look, I've got a 60 degrees right here. Oh, by the way, sorry, this is problem number 4 to start with. Okay, so we're going to find the missing side lengths, leave your answers as radicals in simplest form. If you take a look, we've got our 60 degrees right here, which means if we do 180 minus the 90 that we have here, minus the 60 that we've got there, this is going to be a 30 over here. So we've got a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So I'm immediately going to go to my formula sheet, and I'm going to look at my 30, 60, 90 triangle, and I'm going to see that my hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg, and my long leg equals my short leg times radical 3. Remember HYP for hypotenuse, SL for short leg, and LL for long leg. Before I start doing anything, I'm actually going to go and put all of my labels on my triangle so that I can see this. Now see, if I look across from the 90 degrees, I have my hypotenuse. It's always the longest side in my triangle. If I look across from my 30 degrees, right, jumping across the triangle, my y is going to be the short leg. So the y represents the short leg. And then if I look across from my 60 degrees, if I go across the triangle to that side, this is my longest leg. So here's what I have to start with. I actually have my hypotenuse right here, which means I'm going to have to start with the formula that contains the hypotenuse. And remember, we want to just think of these as formulas, just like our perimeter formulas, our area formulas. We're just plugging things in to actually solve for what we need. So if I start with hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. All right, so my hypotenuse is, I'm just plugging in what I know. It's 8 radical 3 over 3. Okay, that's going to equal 2 times, and my short leg, the variable that is being used for my short leg is the y. Okay, now all I have to do is divide both sides by 2. Right? I want to get the y by itself, so I'm just dividing both sides by 2. Now this on the other side looks really, really crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rewrite it over here for you. Your y equals 8 radical 3 over 3. I'm going to write it as divided by 2 over 1. And when we divide by a fraction, we have to remember that we are multiplying by a reciprocal. So this is really 8 radical 3 over 3 times a 1/2. Well, now that I have it written like that, I can see that, all right, if I have this 2 on the bottom, I'm going to reduce that to a 1, and it will help reduce that 8 on the top. It reduces that to a 4. So my answer for y is 4 radical 3 over 3. Okay, that's my short leg. Okay. And sometimes it helps to go back up to the problem and actually write down what that short leg is. So instead of writing an SL there and having that y there, I'm actually going to write that my short leg is, okay, I'm going to cross off that y right there. It is 4 radical 3 over 3. Okay, now that I have my short leg, I need to find my long leg. I'm looking for that x now. So now the second time around, I'm going to use this formula. Long leg equals short leg times radical 3. So I'm going to, sorry about this, I have to use the full screen for it. Okay, so my long leg equals the short leg times the radical 3. Okay. My long leg, if I go back up to my picture, my long leg was the x, so I'm going to write an x in for that. And then my short leg, we found out it was 4 radical 3 over 3. So it's going to be x equals 4 radical 3 over 3 times radical 3. Now I'm going to throw this out here that you can put this over a 1 if it helps you to remember that that is definitely over 1. And it's now just 2 fractions that I'm going to multiply together. What I can do is, look, I've got a radical 3 times a radical 3. Remember, if they're both on the inside of the radical, they're allowed to play together. If they're both on the outside, they're allowed to play together. But if one's outside and one's inside, you just kind of write them like almost like a variable 4x. But look, these two are both underneath the radical sign, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply those together. So when I do this, I'm going to get 4 times radical 9 all over a 3. Well, I can reduce this radical 9. This radical 9 is a 3, right? Square root of 9 is a 3. So this is really 4 times 3 over 3, or 12 over 3. And so my x, my variable for my long leg, that's a 4. Okay, so that takes care of the first problem. What do we have next? Our next problem is actually problem number 8, so you need to look down at the very bottom of your page. And again, I see it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle because I get my 30 right here, which means I've got my, 60 right there. Okay. I am going to label, just like I did before, across my 30 is my short leg. Okay. Across from my 90 is my hypotenuse. And then across from my 60, okay, is my long leg. I'm going to use the same formulas, guys. We've got the same formulas. My hypotenuse equals 2 times my short leg. My long leg equals my short leg times the radical 3. Now here's what I've got. I was given my short leg. And when I'm given my short leg, I can actually go and use either one of my formulas first. So it doesn't really matter. So it's really what you choose, what you're more comfortable with, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and find my hypotenuse first. Okay, so I'm going to do hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. The hypotenuse, the variable that I'm using for the hypotenuse is m. So it's m equals 2 times 7 radical 3 over 3. Now remember what I said about the last one, where you can write this over a 1 if you want to. And also, things on the outside can play together, things on the inside can play together, but if we've got one outside of the radical and one inside the radical, they're not allowed to play. So the 2 and the 7 are both outside of radicals. So I can actually multiply the 2 times the 7 and I'll get a 14, and the rest of it is just going to remain radical 3 over a 3. There's nothing else I can do with that. The 14 and the 3, if these two were, if I was able to reduce them, if they were both like even numbers, or if 3 actually went into 14, I would reduce it. But since I can't, there's nothing that I can do. That is the answer. That is my hypotenuse. Okay. I can go on and do the long leg now. So the long leg equals the short leg times the radical 3. My long leg, my variable for my long leg is the n. So I'm going to write my n equals my short leg again, 7 radical 3 over 3 times radical 3 over 1. So this is very similar to what we just did. These radical 3's, I am allowed to multiply them together because they're both underneath the radical sign. So this is 7 times the square root of 9, or radical 9, all over 3. And we got to remember that this square root of 9 is a 3, so this is really 7 times 3, or 21 over 3, which is our 7. So that's my answer for my long leg. You got to treat these as formulas. You literally just need to look at, okay, these are my two formulas right here. What do I have? What do I need? Plug in what I know and solve for what I want.